The Undercountry Music News is an excerpt of the weekly internet broadcast Undercountry Music, which features music from great country artists you won't hear on mainstream radio, as well as a roundup of the most interesting country music news of the week without all the fluff. This program you're listening to right now contains only the news portion of the show. To listen and subscribe to the full weekly episode containing the music and interviews, please visit undercountrymusic.com or simply subscribe to the Undercountry Music Podcast on iTunes. Let's get into it. I love those old town lanes, those little towns. We got a lot of those around here in Middle Tennessee. You like to go, just all these tiny little hole-in-the-wall towns if you just start getting out away from the traffic. And they all got these little town squares and courthouse buildings, and I just love it. I just love to get out there and see all these little towns and, the water wheels on the rivers and things like that. And there's a lot of history here. A lot more history than I'm that in tune with or that I ever really bothered or cared to learn about. I just love being here because I just sort of soak it in by osmosis. And that's pretty cool. But not as cool as the Undercountry Music News.
Yeah, baby.
The Undercountry Music News. We find ourselves back here once again, swinging through that old bar room door. That's right, hanging off the chandeliers, shooting out the mirror behind the bartender, and finding one crazy kid, firing our guns at his feet and say, "Dance, boy, dance!" All while some guy in the corner plays Pie-Annie. Not piano, Pie-Annie. You know what Pie-Annie is. Yeah, we like that Pie-Annie. Anyway, the Undercountry Music News is where every single week I storm through all of the websites that come up on the first page of Google under the search term Country Music News. And I bust through their swinging bar doors. And I say, which one of you lily-livered, yellow-bellied sap suckers got the country music news for me today? They all say they got it. Not everyone does. Some of them just take press releases from Taylor Swift and run them. And that's all the F they do. And when I see that crap, I call it out. Because that's what it is. It's crap. And I also dig and see. I actually try to find some good country music news on these websites, but I can't always. But normally I get at least one or two. And then I present those one or two stories to you with my own thoughts and my own feelings and my own conjectures about them. That can tend to piss people off sometimes. I don't care. But I'll tell you what. I come across a website and they're pushing nothing but, Taylor Swift thinks Christmas trees are best in pink kind of stories. I award that website with the dreaded Undercountry Music News Wet Belch of the Week. You know what? I haven't given anyone the wet belch in over a month. A month plus running with no belches. Although I got a little tired of not belching last week, so I opened the segment with belching. Just because I couldn't contain it any longer, So, let's see. I got that out of my system, so I don't need to belch for no reason. And that's good, because over at CMT this week, they get the wet belch because they got diddly jack crap over there. They're asleep at the freaking wheel. I'm gonna run over somebody with that bussiers, and they're at the top of the search results. Of course they are. Of freaking course they are. Over at GAC, Great American Country, they narrowly escape the wet belch because they have one story. I don't think it's real hard news, but it's at least something. Whereas CMT had nothing, at least GAC had something. Florida Georgia Line have had their faces carved into a cornfield maze in Loganville, Georgia, at the Corn Dogs Corn Maze. If you are within driving distance of Loganville, Georgia, I highly encourage you to go walk in and out of the ears of Florida Georgia Line. I can't even make this stuff up, folks. Okay. Tasteofcountry.com. Okay, after I spent my precious time sifting through about 3 articles of crap, I came across the announcement that the Glen Campbell documentary entitled I'll Be Me will be opening in a limited theatrical release in New York and also Nashville on October 24th. October 24th. Yes, that's it. I'm barely here right now. I'm running on fumes, baby. All right. Now, I saw Glen Campbell on his farewell tour while he was suffering Alzheimer's, and he had some great flashes of brilliance on guitar, and I could just tell that in his prime, he was just unequaled on the guitar. He was just a monster, and you could see it come out of him every once in a while, and then, he had trouble keeping it together, and he'd kind of float off and forget what he was playing, or, kind of forget the words of songs, but, that's what that disease does to you, and that's certainly not Glen's fault. And his whole band was comprised of, his family, his daughters and sons made up his backing band, and they also opened the show as their own band too. So that was all pretty cool. I'm glad I got to see him, and I let's all keep Mr. Campbell and his family in our prayers. They could use it. All right. Also, over at Taste of Country, the host, presenters, and performers for the 2014 ACM Honors have been announced, and you can find out all that stuff over at tasteofcountry.com. I personally can't stand award shows, so I didn't bother to click. But if you dig them, there you go. I'm just kind of pointing the way for you, like one of those human directionals that you see on the side of the road saying, large pizza, $5.99 in here, and I twirling the sign, making it go between your legs and around your back so that nobody can actually ever read the effing sign you're holding up, and therefore what you're getting paid for, and not getting paid very much. By the way, those guys make minimum wage at best. But there you go. I'm like one of those guys saying, hey, if you're into that, go this way. All right? But now we're going to go to Country Weekly. Over at Country Weekly, in their news roll, they're reporting that country singer Emily West has made it to the America's Got Talent semifinals. Yeah, way to represent M. And Trisha Yearwood has just announced a new album and a new record deal with Sony Music Nashville. Her new album will be called Prize Fighter. And it's got to do with all kinds of touchy-feeling stuff and overcoming obstacles in your life and blah, 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 blah. And it's not about kicking the crap out of Garth Brooks when he comes home too late at night. Much like I just clunked my microphone. But anyway, a release date has not been announced, but this will be her first new album in almost 8 years. Over at the 615, which is a subsection of Billboard.com. A death after a Hank Williams Jr. concert in Detroit. It's been ruled a homicide after a man was shoved by a teenager on the concourse. The man apparently fell and struck his head on the concrete. Now, the victim's son is saying that it appears to be accidental. Okay, well, it's his dad that got killed, and he's saying it's accidental. So, why is the medical examiner's office ruling this a homicide? That's crazy balls, dude. But anyway, this story neglects to give any reasoning as to why the medical examiner's office ruled this a homicide, and also does not even give the date of when this occurred. So, I mean, that's the quality of journalism we get these days. But whatever. I mean, it's free. Get what you pay for. All right, moving along. Also at the 615, Willie Nelson is teaming up with Neil Young to play a concert protesting the Keystone XL pipeline, which, once constructed, will deliver oil from Alaska down to the lower 48 states. Okay, I'm failing to see how that's a bad thing. Okay, why don't we just go and protest anyone and anything that lets us actually support ourselves? Let's just not produce any of our own energy and get it all from places that want to chop our heads off. I tell you, I am just baffled sometimes at the thought process of effing hippies, you know? I love Willie. Love Neil Young. I can't get behind him on this one. Hey, you know, I'd love to live in the world they envision. Unfortunately, it doesn't actually exist, except in their bongs. There's probably entire planets in their bongs, perhaps universes. Maybe there's a bong in a bong in a bong in a bong. You ever thought of that? Ponder it, dude. All right, also over at the 615, Bristol, Tennessee. The town of Bristol, Tennessee has just opened the Birth of Country Music Museum. Oh, the Birthplace of Country Music Museum. They're claiming that they are the birthplace of country music in Bristol, Tennessee. Located about 300 miles east of Nashville. Yeah, Tennessee's a long state. In 1927, big record labels were having some success in the hillbilly market. So they sent producer Ralph Peer, who thought Bristol, Tennessee would be an ideal place to produce country music because of the mountain music traditions of the Appalachians. Thus, Bristol now claims itself as the birthplace of country music. Interesting. I don't know if I completely buy it. I've got no reason to doubt it, though. Over at theboot.com, there is a new Southern Gospel Revival EP coming out soon, which is a follow-up to the first one, which was released in 2012. Modern Trade, which is the label behind this, has produced a teaser video, which you can see over at The Boot. It's pretty cool. I watched it. In case you don't know what the heaven I'm talking about, the Southern Gospel Revival is a series of recordings featuring Ben Hester, Courtney Patton, Drew Kennedy, and Jamie Lynn Wilson. They set up shop to record in an old Southern dance hall and laid down the 4 tunes in an effort to recapture the feeling of being at a revival on a hot Southern Sunday. I would say they succeeded from the clips that I heard. All songs were recorded in single takes without overdubs, which is almost unheard of these days. You can see videos and download songs from the first album at themoderntrade.com. fairtrade.com. Also over at the boot, Shovels and Rope. I've played them on this show before. They're about to release their new album called Swimmin' Time, and you can watch their new video for The Devil Is All Around right there on the boot. It's great. See, this duo, they're great. Absolutely one of my favorites. I know I sit here and bag on country music in general pretty much every single week and constantly because it's just so hollow these days. It is nothing, it does nothing, it says nothing. It's just junk being churned out. Now, if you want to hear an example of artists who, in my opinion, are making original, edgy country music that's actually worth paying some attention to, I encourage you to check out Shovels and Rope because they are exactly what I'm talking about. All right, over at NashvilleGab.com. All right, here are the stories. Don't go buying Jason Aldean and Brittany Kerr a wedding present just yet. Hunter Hayes gets a tattoo. Actually, the guy got a henna tattoo, okay? Did one of Taylor Swift's own turn on her? Jana Kramer is at it again. Taylor Swift plays peekaboo at the VMAs. Taylor Swift gets ready for first pop performance. Lucy Hale to host the VMAs red carpet. And Carrie makes Miranda nervous. Chase Rice goes commando sometimes. Jana Kramer is single again. All right, now I did find one story on Nashville Gap that piqued my interest. Country singer gets in a fist fight at his own bachelor party. All right, that one looked pretty damn interesting, so I clicked it to read more, and unfortunately, there really wasn't any more to the story, just that he had some choice words for a bartender about his karaoke machine. And that's all I got. All right, and since, you know what, I think Nashville Gab does not just deserve the wet belch of the week, because we did already give that to CMT, but I think they've done such a horrible job this week that I'm going to reward them with an assembly line of wet belches. So you ready? Sometimes it takes me a second to work it up, but I'll work it up. That is me belching, going in and out. That's talent, biatch! You are so lucky that you're on the other side of this microphone. All right, over at Nashville.com. Alan Jackson, 25 years, is showing as an exhibit at the Country Music Hall of Fame. And it also features Alan's Thunderbird car and many, many other items from the legend's career. Go, Alan Jackson. And this has been your Thank you for listening to the Undercountry Music News. The Undercountry Music News is just a small excerpt of the weekly hour-long internet broadcast Undercountry Music, where I, Neil Smith, not only round up the week in country music news and put my own spin on it, but I also play music and have great interviews by lesser-known original country acts, the kind that you won't hear on mainstream country radio. If you're thirsting for that, get on over to undercountrymusic.com where you can listen and subscribe. You can also subscribe via iTunes to Undercountry Music. Thanks so much. stay under, stay country.